Right guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We're taking the LR Great Ape Vegeta, this time into the legendary GT Goku event. I don't really have any expectations for this. I'm not really too sure what to expect. We are getting the additional key +3 and attack +60%, so he is going to be doing a little bit more damage. And ideally, we're actually starting off kind of what's ideal for him, which is, I mean, we have him in slot 1, but we get to super first, get all of our defense, you know, that 60% in the form of a super attack, and then the extra defense that we get from performing an ultra super attack. So this is kind of ideal, but not that it really matters, considering this is literally the first phase of the event. But I'm kind of intrigued to see how he does in a longer event that's gradually going to get harder, where Goku will start doing some pretty ridiculous damage, especially on the final phase at full power SSJ4, and see how he's tanking, especially how much he's tanking in slot 1 before he's got any of his extra defense from supering and just tanking with just the attacking defense plus 100% and just God. But don't forget to drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and yeah, hopefully your ticket summons have been going well. Hopefully you've got what you wanted. Hopefully you're grinding up more stones. Hopefully you finally got, you know, at least one of the year 7 units. And yeah, I'm really intrigued. I am really intrigued about this video. I did bring the Beam Struggle Scout of Vegeta with us, just because, I mean, he needs someone to link with. Like, for him to really get going, I mean, especially with the additional attack +60% because we're facing a Goku enemy, so he's actually going to be putting out some reasonably good numbers, like 5 mil. You know, I needed to bring someone with him that could actually link well and actually, like, get him going. And he was kind of the only one. I mean, at least that Beam Struggle Vegeta, that easy Beam Struggle Vegeta is pretty good against, you know, Goku units. So there is that. And I mean, we keep getting like an ideal setup from right now. I don't know what's going on. It's like Dokkan just like on Vegeta's side right now. Did they realize the mistake they made with him? You know, the numbers we're putting out, even with the additional 60% for facing Goku enemy, isn't overly that impressive right now. But that's because we've got little, like literally little next to no links active for him, like attack links specifically, for him to be doing damage. But we keep getting slot 1 scenarios where we're taking attacks after we super attack, which just isn't going to be around all the time. So I'm kind of grateful. I'm grateful for it right now, Dokkan. Yo, what are you saying, the boy? I'm streaming right now as well, guys. So if you want to see me stream on Twitch, link in the description down below. I am very intrigued about how he does here. Like, very intrigued of how Great Ape Vegeta does in a longer event. Because as I said, Goku is only going to gradually get stronger and stronger and stronger. Like, I know ESBR, like, immediately you can take quite a lot of damage, but you're only in there for like 5 turns. Whereas here, you're in these for like almost 20 for the majority. So I am so curious as to how he's going to do in a longer event, and how much he's going to be tanking for the deeper we get into this, especially without all of his defense. I mean, so far, the rotations, the turns have actually started off pretty well for us. We keep getting the ideal scenario, which is we're not being attacked until Great Ape Vegeta supers, which is very handy because then he's got all of his defensive buffs and he's guarding, so that's perfect. Of course, as I said, that's not going to last forever, which immediately has changed. I mean, he has type advantage here, so it doesn't really matter, but at least we got some links active. And we've got that all-important over 9,000 link active, which means got a little bit of extra attack to be doing. I was thinking about running him with, like, SSJ4 units. But just realistically, you're not going to be running this guy with them, just because they don't need him. You know, you got the LR SSJ4s, there we go. That's the 5.2 million attack stat we're going to be putting out. But just realistically, you're not going to be running them with the SSJ4s. You know, you have the original Easy A year 2s. This is probably going to do next to nothing because we've supered type of white guard. Still took 49k. Still took 49k. I'm not going to lie, to me that seems a little bit high, considering he has type of white right now. But that's kind of just me. No Kaioken Goku yet. I mean, it's probably best if you save your stones anyway, you know, considering like in about a month, just over a month's time after the anniversary, there's going to be worldwide. So you probably want to save your stones for that, not going to lie to you, my guy. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that seemed a bit much. I mean, that's just my opinion anyway, but that really did seem like a bit much. You know, he had all of his defensive buffs because he's supered. He had type advantage and guard. And he still took, what, 40-50k on a super? I mean, don't get me wrong, tanking 40-50k on a super is good in an event like this. It is good, but we're only on the SSJ2 phase. With, again, type advantage and all the defensive buffs and guard. I don't know, maybe I'm being a little harsh. I'm trying not to be too harsh. I mean, this is my boy after all, but I mean, I'm not gonna lie when it comes to him. So how many attacks we're taking in slot 1? We're taking 2 before we do anything with 59k defense? With 59k defense. Like, what am I supposed to do with 59k defense? Seriously? We're also missing legendary power, which is such a huge link to miss, but as I said several times, you're just not gonna run this guy with LR Nappa and Vegeta in any hard content just because they're not good. And we're actually being super attacked. How much we taking? No defense, how much we taking? 111k. 27k on basics. Again, he's tanking a lot better than probably most units would do in slot 1, right? That's obvious because he has guard. But taking 27k, like if we were taking more attacks there and it was deep in the event, he's actually taken quite a bit before he supers. Not to mention I had to put this rotation together, which isn't the best rotation, I'll be honest. Like, yes, that Scout Vegeta is good against Goku units, but or Goku's family units, I'm pretty sure, but it's just not the best setup, is it? It's just because of them links. His link set just isn't the best. Might have spent over 600 stones. Probably a good time to stop spending the stones and just kind of hold off for a bit. Yo, what are you saying, Zell? I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm being too harsh on him right now. I really do feel like I'm being a little too harsh, but it's just kind of just evident that the major issues and flaws he has in his design. And obviously, I don't want it to be like this. That's my guy. This is Vegeta. I want him to be sick. I want him to be dope. But because he's my guy, it means I can easily just point out his flaws, his poor design choices. And those are his links and the wonky defense and damage reduction. But I mean, he's doing okay right now. He's doing okay. It's just, I think he's taking a little too much damage, and that is where his design flaws come in. It's going to be really interesting to see how much damage he takes against Great Ape. We are getting a Dokkan attack though, which is good. We are getting a Dokkan attack, so I'm going to Whis. I am going to Whis this. Even if we didn't get his 18 key off right there, I mean, he is going to get hit, which means he's going to guard, which means when he guards, he's going to get an extra key +3, so we would have got the 18 key regardless, which is nice. But even so, I mean, I kind of want him to get suit. Oh, okay, we're getting suit. I mean, a Whis is that. How much are we taking with the Whis? Even with the Whis, we took 88k. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. Again, yes, he tanked that probably better than a lot of units in the game. Because he has guard. 100%, no doubt, facts. But because all of his defense is coming after the super, he's taking too much damage there. Now, if that's in red zone where you're open to a lot of damage, where units like Bojack, Baby, Janemba, you know, Shenron and Broly being the final ones of their respective events and stages, you're taking like 7, 8, 900k minimum on super attacks. In a Mega and Broly's case, you're taking like 1.5 million and potential more than one supers and AoEs. Like, being able to tank at your best after he supers when you need to put him in slot 1, where you're gonna be running him in slot 1. Because no one else can go there. Like, unless there's another unit you can pair him up with who can go in slot 1 better than him, then he can go in slot 2, which there isn't right now. Especially linking-wise. Until that day comes, if you take this guy in harder content, he's just going to be taking so much damage in slot 1 that just seems so unnecessary because of poor design choices. Like, if that happened in red zone, my guy's taking so much damage. Because you take so much damage because of, you know, him needing to super, and then you've got XYZ units in slot 2 and slot 3 who can't take, you know, don't have guard or damage reduction, etc. Or maybe it's like an, you know, you're not that deep into the event, or they've not stacked up too much. Whatever the extra factors are, it could put you in a pretty sticky situation where you may have to use an item earlier than you wanted to. It could affect your whole run. You may die at the end of it. Just, I still do not understand what they're thinking. I mean, at least with Scout Vegeta having type advantage here, and I mean, you don't have the most defense in the world, but still, it's something, and we have full health. I can pop Great Vegeta in slot 2, and I mean, that's kind of beneficial considering he does have type advantage here, so at least he's going to super and have his guard before anything happens to him. Even still, he's probably still going to take a little bit. Got Vegeta 3 times and loads of LRs. I mean, obviously you would have preferred the Goku, you know, one of the top 10 gold coin LRs in the game, yellow coin LRs in the game. I mean, at least Jeeps will be performing a little bit better with dupes. I mean, if you hit an additional super with this guy, I mean, defensively he's actually in a pretty decent spot, especially with the guard. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't do a whole lot for him. We're actually getting supered. So how much are we going to take? No item active, type disadvantage, and we supered. 78k. See, that's decent. We're on the penultimate phase until the last one. And he has type disadvantage, and he took 78k on a basic. See, that's not bad. That's actually pretty good. But as I said so many times in the showcase, taking him into ESBR, you don't want to be putting this guy in slot 2. You want him in slot 1. And if Goku decided to super attack in slot 1, how much do we take? Like 40k, 48k, something like that. But pretty much like 50k. He's taken over 100 if that was in slot 1 before he supers. It's just like, yes, he can tank a lot better, which is good. It's handy, it's helpful for harder events, but it's just not the greatest design choice, and the only word I can kind of choose for it is wonky. Excruciating pain, 3 more multi, 3 more shitty SSR that's in my box. I mean, there's still time to get a few extra stones, not many, but in a few days we will be getting the year 3 LR EZAs, so that's some extra stones to go again. I said in the ESBR video, I don't want to be that guy just non-stops knocking him. I don't want to just moan about him 24/7, but it is a major design flaw and it affects him quite a lot, especially in harder content, which is where you want to be bringing him. And as I said before, the links just don't help him either. And he goes on a lot of good categories, do not get me wrong, but because of the way he's designed and how flawed it is, when you're thinking about Pure Saiyan's teams, when you're thinking about Vegeta's family teams, when you're thinking about the 200% leader Vegeta family gifted warrior teams, along with the wonky design choice and the link set, who is he getting on them teams ahead of? Not many units, because you don't have anyone decent to run with him. There's no slot 1 unit who can handle slot 1 a lot better than he can, so he can go in slot 2, and then the design flaw isn't really apparent. There's no good unit that goes in slot 2 that goes with him either, until the LR Nappa and Vegeta eventually get an EZA, which hopefully is soon. But yeah, it's just, who is he getting on those teams ahead of? I mean, if we quickly draw up his categories, you know, he's on some good ones. As I said, Giant 8 Power, Pure Saiyans, Vegeta's family, the 200% leader Vegeta's family gifted warriors, Terrifying Conquerors, Space Traveling Warriors. Again, when Raditz drops, he's going to be on another 200% category lead. Battle of Fate, Final Trump Card, even Accelerated Battle are decent categories. Who does he get on those categories ahead of? No one. Especially because you have no one to run him with. I mean, outside of that, he's still tanking really well. He's still tanking a lot better than other units, but just when it comes to the harder content, especially later phases of these type of events, Vegeta and GT Goku event, ESBR, where you're taking multiple attacks from multiple enemies, and you could potentially be super attacked like 3-4 times if you're unlucky. He's just taking a little too much damage before you even supered, which is then when you want him to be tanking. But he's still tanking better than other units in the game. It's just, it's hard not to just point out the obvious flaws that are really hurting him. Like, this is good. I mean, to be fair, I kind of expect this from a unit that can guard. I expect you to be able to tank double digits in this event easy, which he's been doing. But before he supers, you're taking like 10, 20k. I mean, granted, he does have tied disadvantage, but even so. Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit of a shame. And for some reason, it's always got to be Vegeta units this happens to. So before, I'm used to it. I'm used to it. So it's at this point, it's kind of fine. I'm used to it. Surprised he said he's good. He's not a bad unit. He's not terrible. He's not bad. Like, I literally mean it. Like, he's not bad. He's not a bad unit. He's good. He's a solid unit. He's good. He's just not great. Like, as I said, because he has guard, he still tanks a lot better in slot 1 than majority of units in the game. The only thing is, it's not ideal for when you're doing the harder content. When you're in the later phases like we are now, it's not ideal for when you're in, like, red zone. Definitely popping this. We are definitely popping this. Rainbow is taking 65k per hit from Broly before Super. See, in red zone, that's not bad. Before Super, that's not bad, but you would expect a unit with guard. I mean, in terms of, from his design, in context of him, that's not bad. But a unit with guard, you're expecting to take way less than that. And having type advantage, you're expecting him to take way less than that. And I mean, he will do once he supers, but again, that's where the design flaw comes in. We're getting super attacks in slot 1. Which means no extra defense, just pure guard. I'm gonna be sensible and pop an item. I did want to see how much he's taking there without the item, but I also kind of want to make it through the event. And I'm actually quite curious now to see how much he's going to take even with the Whis active. Again, this is with no defensive buff. This is just guard, 100% attack and defense, and a Whis. 102k. So if I didn't use the item, okay, and this is what I mean. This is where the latter phases and then like the you know, the later stages of red zone that are doing these like 7, 8, 900k supers over 1 million, you know, 1.5 on Shenron and Broly come in. If I did not use the Whis there, he's taking 200k on that super. What unit with guard takes 200k on a super? This is what I mean. He should have had more defense at the start of turn, or just his defense shouldn't have all been attached to him supering. Especially with the bad links. I mean, not that they make that much difference, but he should have had defense attached to other outlets, or just had more defense at the start of turn, or more attack and defense at the start of turn, rather than having it all attached to him supering. Because it just kind of defeats or just contradicts him being a unit that guards, because units that guards you put in slot 1. That's kind of their job, and they are few and far between. Poor Jeets, man. I mean, as I said, he's good. And I mean, I use the term good very loosely. Like, it's not like, oh my god, yeah, he's good, but this is like a minor problem. No, he's still good. He's a solid unit. He just... He's kind of just in that region of good. Like, he just gets in there. But he has a lot of flaws. And I mean, they've been apparent throughout this event. I mean, especially in that turn just then. As I said, I mean, I'm used to it as a Vegeta fan, but like, it irks me a little bit. It irks me a little bit because it's like he has so much potential to be such a good defensive unit. And they just decided to take that away because getting all the defense on super. And I don't know why you would do that. I do not know why you would do that. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, to be fair, he did do really well in ESBR. While he can be open to a bit of damage, you know, if you are quite unlucky to take multiple attacks before he super attacks and, you know, the majority end up being supers, you can take quite a bit of damage. But that AoE combined with the fact he does guard and can be very defensively solid once he supers combined with the guard and doing like 5 mil attack stats on his AoE, he's pretty good in there. I won't knock it. He was pretty good in there, and he has been Okay. Again, I think I'm gonna have to use an item. I'm gonna have to use an item. I don't want to. This might be like the first run I do where I don't actually beat it, just because I want to see how much damage he takes without an item after he supers. Let's get a bit of health back. I'm not going to use an item. This may generally be one of the only runs I ever do where I don't actually complete the run. But that's because I'm forcing this to happen. So he took 100k, no super, with a Whis active. So he would have taken just over 200k on the super in slot 1 with no super if I didn't use the Whis. No item. He's gonna super. He's got the attack and defense plus 60% from performing a super attack. He's got the additional 60% defense from performing an ultra super attack. And he's guarding. Obviously double digits on the basics. How much is he taking on the super? No item active. How much? 144k. Now again, I will say this. That is a lot better than the majority of units that you take into the GT Goku event and get to this stage. That is a lot better than quite a few units will be taking. Yes, 100%. But 144k? The majority of units that guard are taking like way less than that. Like they would have tanked that for like 50, 60k. And again, if that was in slot 1 prior to Super League, we would have took over 200k, which is crazy to think a unit with guard is taking that. Especially in LR as well. Damn. That's crazy. Again, it is better than the majority of units, but it's not good enough. When you think about the units that do have guard, the units have damage reduction. It's just not good enough. Like, think about the Trunks and Vegeta that's currently, you know, recent to JP. They tank literally next to nothing against Broly. The hardest event in the game, they tank next to nothing. That would have done nothing to them. Gohan, yes, he does stack, but he also has guard. Like, he has a little bit extra to him getting defense. He would have tanked that. As long as you have him on main rotation, getting the super attacks off stacking, he would have tanked that for nothing. Future Gohan would have tanked that for even less with all of his damage reduction. As I said, he's still a solid unit, but there's so much wrong with him that all those good categories he goes on, who is he getting ahead of? Probably next to no one. But I mean, he managed to hold his own. He managed to hold his own better than other units, but it's just not quite good enough. I still want to try him in red zone when the final stages drop in a few days, and I'm still going to do that. But it's going to be intriguing to see how he does. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe if you're new. I'll see you next video, guys, and